So this one's going to be a little different than normal. Today was supposed to be my Tuscan video, but I'm having nothing but problems with my vacuum form. I've been fighting with this stupid thing for weeks now. So, you know, when things aren't working quite right, do something absolutely wrong. And that's what I'm doing here. Something completely wrong. This is more of a test just to see what I can and can't do. So I'm playing around. When you go into a project knowing it's not gonna work, you know, and that's the project. For those of you who play Final Fantasy 15, you will recognize that as Nyx Ulric Kukris from Kingsglaive. This model is amazing. The guy who did it did a fantastic job. It is super detailed. It's the filigree on the handle is legitimately beautiful. What you would expect from a Final Fantasy 15 prop. And I'm deciding to mess with it and see what I can do. Because I don't want a resin one on the wall. I'm not overtly fond of resin. Well, I like resin. Just if I have the option, you know. Let's see what we can do. Now the problem is, I've been casting in brass and copper lately. And that's not what I want this to look like. I want it to be silver. So I'm just tapping up a mold real quick, just, you know, for fun. The blade popped off at this point, but again, as a test, it's not that big of a deal. So I put it in. Normally when you make these molds, you have two halves. I didn't do that because I didn't. The model itself is super high poly count, so I can't just bring it in and edit it very easily. It took me probably 4 hours of processing time to add the 4 cuts that are already in it, and I'm not going to add more. But, you know, normally you'd have the two halves, and you'd put one half down, you do the thing, and then you put the other half down, you do the other thing. I'm just cutting to the middle. You can't have overhangs at all with sand casting. So I'm just finding the middle, brushing everything off. I'm gonna powder it in a second. The parting compound I'm using, it keeps the clay from bonding together. It's just a barrier. So when I separate it, I can take the prop out and then fill that area with lots of molten metal. And this is the second part, which is just like the first part. You throw some clay down, you compress it. Since this clay is a Newtonian solid, it acts like a liquid when you add pressure to it. So it fills in all the voids real well. The parting compound makes it so you can take everything apart, you know, do the thing. Then you just hit a lot. I need a better mallet. My sand rammer is just a rubber mallet. I can't quite get in the corners well enough or along the edge. But, you know, I'm new to this hobby and it's just kind of fun. Whoosh. So that's my my metal melter, my little furnace, foundry. Having a rough day, so gonna sit back and wait for metal to melt. Doesn't take too terribly long, but it's nice, it's relaxing. Now here's problem number 1. I don't want it to look brass or copper, so I decided to add, you know, a bunch of aluminum. I have some aluminum. It's extruded aluminum. There's a little copper in there, a little brass in there. So I'm just mixing all kinds of weird stuff up. Everything seems to be going well. Ominous that he added the word seems. No weird things, everything's been mixed. Everything should be fine. Nothing out of the ordinary. Horrible tongues I hate. When suddenly, and with no cause. I want to take a minute to talk about what just happened. I have no idea, right? I was wearing no PPE, first off. I should have had, at the very minimum, a long sleeve wool shirt on. And a tank top. Plastic tank top at that. No face coverings. I had my glasses on. So, there was that. But still, I should have had gloves. I should have been fully kitted up for a pour of molten metal. I didn't, and I didn't, and the next one either. I don't want it, so. It exploded mid-pour, which is weird. I get it if when I put the metal in, it does weird stuff, but mid-pour, it just decided, hey, I think I'm done. So that was weird. And when it did pour, it was super fragile afterwards. I used whatever metal I had lying around. And I know that sounds weird, but I've been doing this for a couple months now, so I've got a lot of brass, a lot of copper, and a lot of extruded aluminum. I don't have any cast aluminum, which I think is part of the problem, which is why it's so brittle. But I was trying to treat it like a paint. I want a silverish blade, but aluminum looks like foil when you pour it, so I wanted this, and I just, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Didn't work well. So maybe some of you who are way better at this than me would understand or know what just happened. Why did it explode in the middle of a pour? I had weird, maybe certain metals were floating on the top and certain metals were in the bottom, but that doesn't, because I mixed it, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. It was weird and dangerous, and my daughter was watching, and I used that as lessons to her. So we went over the entire thing. She's seen this video as many times as I have now. We've talked about everything that went wrong, everything I should have done, everything I didn't do. But it is what it is. I got very, very lucky. Had anything else happened, had anything else gone wrong, the result probably wouldn't have been the same. So I was just engulfed in flames. What do? I pick it back up and I pour some more. Because why wouldn't I, right? Seems to make perfect sense. So bring out the sand bucket. I have to brush everything off because the explosion just littered the top of my clay with little bitty scraps of metal. It's time to see what we got. When I am intrigued by what I see. Yeah, I'm using pliers, not my hands, because that would be stupid. Bring it over the water bucket, and it shatters. This metal is super, super brittle. I don't know if it's because it's extruded aluminum as opposed to cast aluminum, but it is unbelievably brittle. It's like dealing with glass, but it's stunning. All the detail is there. And because I can't leave well enough alone, I did it again. Except this time, I'm using just brass. Brass bullet casings to be exact. This pour goes considerably better. Spoiler alert. As you can see, I'm wearing my respirator, which I normally wear for brass because zinc poisoning is just unpleasant. But, I couldn't be bothered to put on a shirt. I still hate these tongs. I'm working on something new. And then and this pour is always... Brass pour is so nice. Aluminum pour is the nicest, but I hate the results because it just looks like foil. Copper pour is fantastic. I really like how copper looks. But brass I like the best. Doesn't pour the best, but I love how it pours. Whatever, you know what I mean. What do you do when you have an entire flask on fire? You ignore it for a couple minutes. Let the metal cool down. Then you just pat it out with your glove, because what else would you do? Jeez Louise. But, entertainingly, the blade turned out way better than I thought it would. I'm, again, pleasantly surprised. Quick brush of it, and most of the detail is there, except for the parting line. The parting line I think I may have gotten a little sloppy with. So if I decide to do it again, which I probably will, I'm going to pay way more attention to that. Because if I can, the cleaner I make the parting line, the better everything is. Cut off all the flashing on my bandsaw. Being very mindful of where the blade is and where my fingers are. I know it looks like I don't care about safety, but you know I try to be relatively careful. Nice spin on the grinder. A little bit of a sanding in between. I didn't film any of the sanding. There's no point in that because it's sanding. Nobody wants to see sanding. A little bit of buffing. And I think we're about to a point where I can show you the super close detail and what this thing looks like. So my garage is currently trashed, so we're doing this in here. This thing is amazing. I'll bring it in so you can see. This is straight from the sand. I've done nothing to this side. I've got about half the finish I want on this, but I need to do the other side and I wanted to show the contrast. So this is straight from the mold. It looks just unbelievable. And with just a little bit of polish, a little bit of sanding, we get this. This is going to take months to finish, but I mean, I am so happy with this. I wish I could have gotten the blade a little more silver. I'm probably going to end up oxidizing the handle so it's got more of a tarnish to it, and then high polish the blade. It looks fantastic. It is 100% not con safe. So I'm probably never going to be able to do anything but put it on the wall, look at it, take it down, beat intruders with it, you know. But it looks fantastic. The amount of detail on this is just... you can actually see the detail a little better on this side. So once I oxidize it, that's going to really pop. And I'm very happy with it. So, if you're new here, I don't really do much metal casting on this channel. I do primarily costuming. That's an accessory. I could do more, I suppose, because we're working on Harlock belt buckles, and those are done in brass. Sailor Moon's locket, that's going to be in brass. Goonies keys, those are copper. Those are kind of fun. My R6 unit was going to have all brass fittings as well. There's a couple things I wanted to do in bronze. I might record it, but I don't know. I'm not gonna jump the gun yet. Like I said, we primarily do costuming here. Next week I'm doing a helmet. We're gonna do a compare and contrast between foam, resin, 3D print, just to see how everything looks. It's a fun channel. If you like it, you know, like it, subscribe. You made it this far, you might as well at this point, really. It costs you money not to click the like and subscribe button. I'm not going to say anything about notifications or comments. You know, let's not get too crazy here. But Hope I see you next week.